Hey, what's up, guys? It's Hyperion18 here with another review for you. This time, though, we're not actually reviewing a movie, it's a show. Um, of course, as you see in the title and in the picture and all that today, I am going to be reviewing the Stranger Things Season 3. Um, and God, there is a lot to go over, and I'm very excited for it. But before we get into all that, I do want to remind you guys to hit that little like button and that subscribe button. That helps me and it helps you. Another thing that helps, leave a comment down below, man. Let's talk movies. Um, the only thing with that, though, all I ask, be nice, be kind. Don't be mean to one another. You know? Friends in lonely places, let's just be friends. Alright, let's not be mean or nothing like that, alright? Let's just have a nice adult conversation about the show and about the season, what we liked, what we didn't like, and all that good stuff, alright? Let's just be nice about it. But for real though, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this season, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, etc. But anyways, other than that, let me get into my thoughts and opinions. The good, the bad, the ugly. Everything I didn't like, everything I liked about this season. Let's get into it. So starting off with the good, like I always do in all my videos, the first thing that comes to mind is the relationships that this season builds. Whether we're talking about Eleven and Max, whether we're talking about Eleven and Mike, whether we're talking about Harper and Joyce, uh, whether we're talking about Steve and I forget her name, but the girl that was working with him in the ice cream shop, it'll come to me here in a minute. Um, just the different relationships that this season builds, and not necessarily just romantic relationships. Like that's it. Like this season goes far beyond just that. It goes between friendships and um, now there is some like sexual relationships that it does build, but that's not all it does. Like the entire season, you think that Steve and the ice cream girl are going to get together, but it turns out they just decide to be friends. They end up at the end of the season just being really really good friends, and I thought it was brilliant. You know, they because with most TV shows, they kind of lead you along, and then they finally just go ahead and do it. See, with this though, they kind of lead you along, but then say, you know what? Actually, we're going to leave it off here. And as an audience, you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming, and you actually kind of like it. Like it's not what you saw coming. You weren't expecting it or nothing like that. So this season just did really really awesome. As far as just the building of relationships, especially just in like the beginning of the season too. The beginning of the season does a whole lot of that. But they don't really cut it off. They still, even toward the middle and end of the season, they're still building those relationships. There's just a whole lot more thrown in there. Speaking about that, that goes on to the next thing I loved about this season, and that is like the non-stop action. Like it always seemed like there was just something going on. Whether you're talking about Mike and Eleven's relationship, or the monster down in the basement, or Billy being possessed, or the Russians and trying to fight the Russians, or running away from the Russians, or running away from the monster. There's just non-stop action in this season. Now, I have heard some critics say that they thought the beginning of the season was a little bit slow. I disagree. Um, Now, I admit that the beginning of the season was slow. I agree with that point of view. But I don't believe that the beginning of the season was too slow. Um, Now, I mean, could they have picked things up? Yeah, sure. But I still really loved the way they did it. I didn't have an issue with it. But like I said, that's just me. Everybody has an opinion. My opinion's not necessarily right. Maybe it's just an opinion, guys. It's just that. But to me, they're just like I was constantly entertained from episode 1 to episode 8 this season. Constantly entertained. Um, just keeping on with the good. The cast. Um, the cast was absolutely amazing, just like they were in all the other seasons. Um, Millie Bobby Brown, David Harbour. Um, they were wonderful, absolutely wonderful, spectacular performance. Um, Millie Bobby Brown, I really liked the development of her character as 11. Um, in the previous seasons, we've seen her character, and her character still had a little bit of an issue with speech. Whereas in this season, a few months have passed and stuff, and her character has became more aware of like vocabulary and English language, and she could talk whole lot more fluently. Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. I love that. She's now able to kind of traverse with our characters in more of their speed and all that. I thought that was just absolutely brilliant because the past two seasons she hasn't really been able to do that. And it hasn't been like a downfall for those seasons at all. It worked for those seasons, but I do think it was very smart to in a third season kind of let her character not necessarily become smarter, but more fluent with words and stuff and the slang that kids use nowadays. I thought that was just all of it was just absolutely brilliant. Um, but yeah, that's basically it for the good. Now, I mean, of course, there's several other things, but like just my big main things. That's really all I want to cover as far as the good. Going into the bad, I really got nothing, guys. Um, I can't really think of anything that I didn't like about this season. Um, I guess if I had to pick one thing that I think could have been done maybe a little bit differently was what they did with the character of Billy. Um, Basically, throughout the entire season, he is the kind of the villain in the season. Kind of, he's being used kind of as the villain in the season, and then at the end of the season, we get to see him do this big old sacrifice. Sorry, guys, my cat was getting into a drawer. But at the end of the season, we get to see him do this big old sacrifice where he sacrifices himself. I kind of didn't like this decision. I would have liked to have seen his character be built up a little bit more. Because the entire time throughout the season, we don't really get to see his character. We get to see, him, his possessed character. It's not really Billy, it's more than Mind Flayer. So we don't really get to see a whole lot of Billy in this season, and season two we didn't really get to know him too well as a character either. Now, yeah, he played a pretty big part in season two, but we didn't really get to know the character in season two. He is more of he was constantly doing something in season two, more rather than we're getting to know him, just like all of our other characters. And so the fact that they decided to kill him off at the end of the season I didn't really completely agree with. Um, but it's honestly kind of nitpicking. Um, that's why I don't really want to include it in the bad because, like, I still think it's fine. I don't really think it takes anything away. In that same realm, though, there is also a scene in the very beginning of the season where he basically asks Mike's mom to go to a hotel with him, and she just about does go. Um, we kind of see a little bit of flirting in season two, but in season three, it kind of not necessarily escalates, but there is, the question asked, and I thought that was a little bit much as well. I didn't really think that whole thing needed to go that far. It's very cringy, and I just didn't really feel like it was going to go that far, or really needed to go that far. But other than that, guys, that's really about it. I really loved the rest of the season. So my overall rating of the season, best one yet. The Duffer Brothers really just outdone themselves with this season, guys. I absolutely loved it. I mean, just from start to finish, there's just a few things here and there, but I just not really to the point where I would even put them in my bad. I mean, it's kind of nitpicking things I maybe would have kind of changed, but I really don't care. I still think it works and all that good stuff. But guys, that's it. That's my review over Stranger Things Season 3. A fantastic season. Cannot wait for Season 4 to drop. Um, Other than that, we're going to go ahead and close this out. I will remind you to hit that like and that subscribe button. And make sure you leave a comment. Just be nice about it. Other than that, guys, be safe. And I'll see you guys in the next movie review. Bye, guys.